Hey sketchy friends, I hope you're doing well. This is episode 3 of Sketching Gaudi, or Sketch Gaudi with me. We are building a spontaneous sketchbook spread. Really don't know how this is going to end up looking, but that's part of the fun. And today we're stepping it up a little bit by drawing an entire building. This building I'm actually not sure of the name of, so if you know, please do put it in the comments. I did try and find out, but I guess I didn't look that hard, but couldn't really find the name of it. But it is inside of Parque Güell, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly in the slightest, to be honest with you. But I love it. It just looks like some kind of gingerbread house, and it's got this really cool white and blue checkerboard tower, and it's super iconic. I'm sure you have seen pictures of it before. You may have even been lucky enough to see it in real life before. I thought this would be a great little addition to the sketchbook spread on Antoni Gaudí, and I have decided to put it in a bit of a frame. I felt like I wanted a different compositional element to go on the sketchbook spread. So yeah, I've sort of penciled in a frame that kind of stops and starts around the mosaic wall that's already there. And I'm just going to draw this building like around what's kind of already there. And that's the fun of building a sketchbook spread like this, responding to what is already on the page. It's unplanned, so we just kind of have to roll with it. And that's kind of the excitement of it really for me. But if you prefer to plan your sketchbook spreads, then you don't need to do what I'm doing, where I'm just running illustrations or sketches into one another. You could put boxes across your entire double page. We're actually looking at something like that at the moment in Pretty Sketchy Club. So it's actually entirely up to you what you'd like to do. Just to let you know, I am running a travel sketching vacation workshop in Spain, in Barcelona, and also the Costa Brava across 7 days in April 2024. So there is still a couple of spaces left, and I would really, really love for you to be able to join us. So if you'd like to check out more about that trip, you can do so in the link below. So I'm just using my normal mechanical pencil here. There's some tricky shapes going on, and there's a little bit of perspective, and by no means am I going to be getting it exactly right, but I just do find a little bit of comfort in having some shapes down with the pencil first, just to make sure I can get like a reasonably pleasing drawing of this building. Again, it's not going to be perfect. I'm okay with that. I let go of perfectionism a long time ago and realized it's far more fun to just draw and see what happens. And yeah, so it's just a normal mechanical pencil, super handy for traveling with, because obviously you don't need to worry about sharpening and that kind of thing. So I do like a mechanical pencil just for that reason. I actually have no idea what graphite is in this pencil. I'm going to assume it's a B. But I actually have no idea because it was so long ago that I bought it, and who knows, I could have replaced it by now anyway, so I'm actually not sure. But it's probably a B, because that is what I would sort of prefer to draw with if I have a choice. So just getting the basic shapes, trying to get the shape of that roof, I'd say that that's a pretty important thing. I don't think the tower is completely in proportion with the rest of the building, just because I didn't want to make it too long, because I didn't want to take up too much of the page. I've already kind of realized that it goes quite a way up the page, and I would like to fit another sketch in on top of it. So we'll have to see how that turns out in a later episode. Do stay tuned for that. But again, it's okay, it's a trade-off. Like, I know it's not completely in proportion, but I know it's going to be recognizable enough, especially with that blue and white checkerboard. And it doesn't look ridiculous, like it's not really, really short. So it's kind of a trade-off that I was willing to make. So I'm trying not to go too crazy with the details in pencil. I just want to get the main shapes in, and the trickier areas. It's easy to get carried away with the pencil, and then you find yourself just tracing with your pen on top, and that's kind of like not really very fun. I do try my best just to do basic shapes. I'm going a little bit further than I might otherwise do on this one, just because this is a tricky building, and I do just want to make sure I'm getting a reasonable likeness of it. But otherwise I would try and encourage you to not use your pencil too much if you can help it. It's just more spontaneous when you draw in ink, and it can just give like a fresher kind of effect. And then I'm thinking I just want a very rough idea that there's something else going on behind the building, and then it's not just standing by itself in the middle of nowhere. I think that's pretty much all I'm going to do with the pencil. I don't mind that this mosaic wall is running into it. And I think I might, again in a later episode, I might do a frame up here just to kind of balance the sketchbook spread, just so that there's not one thing in a frame. So I'm going to put these lines up here just to remind myself that perhaps that's something I want to do when I do a sketch up there. And then I'm going to have something above, as I said, and the main event is probably going to be in the middle of the sketchbook spread. I have an idea of what's going to go there. I'm sure you guys can probably guess. I think that's my overall plan, so we can see how that ends up looking. Okay, so let's move on to the inking then. I have sped this up just to make it, quite frankly, less boring to watch. So here I am using a fine liner, and this is a 0.2. It is a Unipin fine liner. I don't really have any preference on fine liners, to be honest, but actually the very first brand I ever bought was this brand, just because that is what was available to me in the shops at the time, and I quite like Unipins. So, you know, if someone put a gun to my head and I had to choose, I'd probably choose Unipins. But only because that's what I'm used to. Pigma Micron, Staplers, Derwent, Copic, blah, 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 all the same, really no preference on them. What I will say though is Copic do offer slightly more expensive ones that you can replace the nib of and the ink, I think. So obviously for environmental purposes, those might be a good option to check out. So I'm trying not to copy my pencil lines too much, and if there's something I feel that's not quite right, then I am correcting that with the ink. I know I've sped this up a bit, but I'm also not being too careful. I'm drawing reasonably quickly, just to try and get a bit of spontaneity and a little bit of looseness into the overall sketch. But I'm enjoying how this is looking. I have definitely simplified certain elements, but I think it still reads as this particular building. I mean, it's so recognizable anyway, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how I've simplified it, to be honest. And I'm just putting some sort of fence posts in the back there because I can kind of see those in the photo. I might have edited a little bit and moved them, but that's fine. It's your sketch. You're allowed to do that. And I think it's looking quite nice and graphic. So I've put that frame in ink as well. And I really like how the tower of the building is coming out of the frame as well. I think that's interesting. I always like it when sketches kind of burst out of their frames like that. I think it's a fun effect. So here I've got my set of watercolours. Currently they are mainly White Nights watercolours. A lot of them are coming to the end though. I've replaced quite a few of them multiple times. But I am actually going to totally change up my palette and my brand of paints very shortly. My parents are due to arrive from the UK, and they're bringing me a nice little bundle of goods from Jackson's that I ordered to their house. So thanks Mum and Dad for being my carriers over here. And yeah, I'll do a little unboxing and a review and show you what I've got when I get that. So that's kind of exciting. I haven't changed my paints since 2020. I mean, there's a couple of Daniel Smith in there, but they're basically the same ones I've been using since 2020. I mean, same brand and same colour selections more or less. So yeah, it'll be fun just to completely change everything and start afresh. So here I'm using sort of a bit of a mixture of Indian gold, which is quite similar to quinacridone gold, I believe, and a bit of English red just to warm it up. So yeah, I'm just going for an orangey brownish colour. Orangey reddish browny colour. So like maybe like a burnt sienna would be good in your set. Just something nice and strong for the walls of that building. I've actually just mixed up a little bit of a dull purple just to put on the ground there. I always like putting purple down on the ground rather than greys, like the grey of any gravel or pavements and that kind of thing. I just think purple's more interesting. And also with the yellowy orange tones in the building, they're complementary colours, so that works quite nicely. Also painting in a bit of Indian yellow or Indian gold just into the windows there, just because I can see a nice glow behind them. So putting that down and just putting a very light wash of yellow into the otherwise white roof of the building, because I can see a bit of a yellow glow, like a golden glow on the white. So even though our brains know that that roof is white, if you actually look very closely at the photo, you'll see that it's in the light, it is yellowy gold colour, and then the shadows on it are blue. So I will be adding those a bit later on when the watercolour is dried on there. I can kind of see some blues in those windows at the top there, so that's why I'm adding that. And also there's obviously blue in this tower as well. So again, you know, I'm trying not to use too many colours and trying to use the same kind of blue wherever I'm seeing it. So kind of using ultramarine and a tiny bit of my phthalo blue as well, but mainly ultramarine on the frames of this window and probably in that tower as well. So I am using my Rosemary & Co 1/4 inch dagger brush here. I think I did start out with my bigger brush there to do the reddish brown on the building. I'm like trying not to be too neat. I'm trying not to be too precise. I just think it looks more fun when you're kind of a bit looser with your watercolor washes. But yeah, this Rosemary & Co dagger brush does really help getting into those small spaces, like doing those squares on that tower. And I'm just putting in some blue shapes on the roof there. There's some blue diamondy shapes, but I'm just roughly indicating them. Again, my idea here is not to like do some kind of super long, precise rendering of this building. I'm trying to be in the mindset that I'm out on the streets of Barcelona, I'm in the park, it's hot, there's lots of people around. I probably want to go and have a glass of wine very soon, so I'm trying to just keep it quick and loose-ish. And just trying to emulate how I would be if I was doing this on location as well. So also just trying to minimize the materials I'm using, because I would only have my paint set, a pencil, a couple of pens, and a couple of brushes, and you know, that's kind of all you need really. So that's the kind of spirit I'm trying to channel here with this sketch. I'm just kind of keeping it quick and simple and basic, because I just want to capture this slice of Gaudi, and then I'm going to move on my pretend walking tour of Gaudi sites in Barcelona. So I'm just trying to add a few shadows in with the brush here, just adding in some darker bluey brown. I think I've mixed in sepia with ultramarine, so it's a dark blue, a dark brown, and the ultramarine blue makes like a nice kind of black or like kind of dark tone. And I'm just getting a very light amount of blue on my brush, really pale. And I'm just trying to put in some shadows again on that white, in air quotes, on that white roof. So you've got the golden yellow where the light's hitting it, and then the blue shadows. And then I noticed on the building you can kind of see like cobbled or bricks or stones or whatever the correct term is. So adding a bit of texture into the wall is nice, a nice thing to do. But you don't have to do it everywhere. You can just do it in random places on the wall, and then, you know, the human brain just fills in the rest, so that's fine. And then I'm just putting in these window frames on top of the yellow glow of the window there. I was using a brush pen. I was just trying to use it quite carefully, because it is quite a tricky brush pen to use very precisely. And then I'm just using probably a 0.1 there, I think, just to put in the thinner lines for the rest of the window frames there. And just adding in the window on the side, and also just some other kind of textures, just to show like some other mosaic-y pieces. Again, you don't have to draw everything. You can just draw in bits and pieces and our minds fill in the rest. Another cool thing you can do to show the bricks and stones on top of like a brown, or any colour really, but on top of the wall, is you could actually use a white gel pen instead. And I saw the white gel pen and I remembered this. So I was like, oh, okay, let me just go over the top, but let me just show you what that would look like. Sometimes that can look really nice, drawing bricks with a white gel pen on top of the painted areas. So definitely give that a go. Also, there's some white patterns on the blue window frame there, so just adding those in, just very roughly, and just adding in anything I've missed really. I thought I'd put some splatters in as well, just a few little ones. It helps with a bit of texture, and sometimes outlining a few bits where light's hitting with a white gel pen can be really cool as well, but a very stylistic decision to make. So it's up to you whether you like something like that, but you know, thinking of someone like Lepan who likes to outline a lot of things with a white gel pen, it's definitely a distinct look, and it can be quite fun just to add that into little bits of your own sketch as well, here and there. And here, again, I just wanted to like indicate a bit of texture on this roof because it just looked a bit too smooth. So I'm literally just kind of scribbling basically because I don't have the time or the patience to draw all of this in. But if you just do some very light sort of scribble effect, then it just gives the idea that there's some kind of texture there. I'm using a thicker pen, a thicker fine liner, to add some thick lines around the edge of that roof. I just want it to really like pop forward away from the other elements on top of the roof. And also making thicker lines underneath the window ledge there, just where there would be a bit of a shadow. It just really helps to make things look a bit more 3D and to pop forward if you put a thicker line. You can go over the top with this though, so just be careful and just kind of put it in areas where you think there would be like a shadow or you want something to pop forward a bit more. Just adding a few more stones on the front of the building with the white gel pen. Just didn't feel like there was enough. And again, I'm bouncing in between, you know, the white gel pen, and then I'm like, oh, I wanted to add a bit of blue there, and oh, I want to add a thick line there. It's okay to bounce between your materials as you notice things that are missing. This is definitely like the fiddling stage where you're just noticing what have I left out, what have I missed, what little details can I add which can really bring this to life. I was looking at this sketch and I was like, I just want to add some green. There might not even be trees right next to this house. I don't care, I'm moving them. I want some green in here, just to give it a bit more life and just to show, you know, this is in a park, this building. So I definitely think there needs to be some greenery around it. It's always nice to show that contrast between the building and a bit of foliage as well, just to kind of balance the scene out. So that's why I have moved the trees into the scene a little more. But mainly, yeah, I forgot about this. Mainly it is in a park, so I do think it really needs to have some kind of foliage around it to show that. And then I'm just going to add in this fence post at the back, which I think I've also moved into the scene a little more. Just a little bit of a darker kind of greyish blue on the ground there, just to give a bit more interest in the ground and anchor the building to the ground a little more, just by adding some subtle shadows. And then, do you know what, guys? I just wanted to put yellow in the sky. I could have left the white box, and I was really going to, but then I just felt bold, and I was like, I want to put in some Indian gold in the background. So that's what I did. Make of that what you will. I don't know. I am just totally on my own mission with this, but I think it's nice. I think it balances the scene a little bit more. You're welcome to put in a blue sky in there if you want. You can leave the background completely white. I just thought it might make it look a bit more interesting. I think I'm happy with my decision. I could have left it white. Blue felt like a bit too much because I didn't want to take away from the tower. Yeah, just felt like it. Just wanted to go with the yellow. And again, just adding in some more details with a white gel pen, but generally I'm just messing around now, to be honest. I encourage you to do that with your sketch. Mess around, just have fun, experiment. Not everything you try is going to work, and that's fine. And maybe you'll try and cover it up or backtrack a little bit. Otherwise, I'm really happy with this little sketch. I think it's really fun. I think our sketchbook spread is really starting to come to life. I'm quite excited. I think it's looking really, really colourful and quirky, super fun, and I can't wait to continue with the next episode. So there might be a week's gap or so in between when the next episode comes out, just because I'm going on holiday with my parents. Rest assured, if you're on my email newsletter, you will be notified when the next video comes out, and I shall be continuing this to the end. It might just not be next week. But I hope you've enjoyed this one. Do check out my Sketching Spain trip in April 2024. Link is in the description below, and I'll see you in the next episode.